to again remind everybody of the situation that we have relative to the coronavirus pandemic. Being under a state of emergency and operating under a executive order number 60 issued by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, that we can conduct our meeting in this manner, and that in this manner is through video. And I'm going to proceed, assuming there are no objections. If there is, voice them at this point. Hearing none, I will move forward and begin the meeting. Anyone who is listening in from the public wishing to address the board will be given the opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. And you'll be given a number to call in, and I will post that number at the end of the meeting. Okay, we're getting pretty good at this. If you want to be recognized, raise your hand. And otherwise, keep muted to keep the feedback down, okay? So let's call the roll. Let's see who's here.
Jay Bell. Alice Canella.
Here.
Darren Collins. Kenny Custer.
Here.
Doug Fisher.
Here.
Tyler Howe. Curtis Jones.
Here.
Walker Jones.
Here.
Bill McGriff.
Here.
Gene Shipley. Boyd Veal.
Here.
Dick G.
Here. Confirm we have a quorum. I believe we do. Let's, as we customarily do, take a moment to consider, I guess there's more sorrow and sympathy than normal in Hamilton and Meigs County as a result of that terrific accident that occurred yesterday. Let's, in addition to that, there are many, many people who might, who not only might, but need to be considered. So let's just take a few seconds and keep them in our thoughts and wish them the best as life goes on. I'll get back to you in just a second. Okay, thank you. Commissioners have been supplied board member minutes dated September 23, 2020. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion approved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I'm going to try to move along on that. The hand takes too long to call the roll. Natasha, did you get the motion maker in the second?
Yes, sir. We have Doug
Okay.
Fisher making the motion, Bill McGriff making the second.
Okay, great. Likewise, we've been given work session minutes of the October 22nd meeting. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And then a second.
Second.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Is anyone opposed? Okay, I call your attention to the consent calendar. And I would ask that you take just a moment before we vote and be sure you're acquainted with the first item on that consent calendar. And remind you that it was a motion made by Doug to consider a change in the variance policy, which is being considered right now. But if you weren't at the work session minutes, it'd be a good idea to catch up with that one. That was brought to the board and was forwarded unanimously, of course, on the consent calendar. Do I hear a motion for approval for the consent calendar? Hello,
So moved.
thank you. Do I hear a second?
This is Jay. I'll second.
Thank you, Jay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, Neill, is Neill Southerland with us?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything to bring to the board at this
I
time?
have nothing to bring to the board at this time.
That is terrific news. Not because we don't like to hear you, but what you bring to the board, we don't like to hear real often. That brings us to the director's report. Mike, you want to take over and take us through your agenda, please?
Yeah, so the first thing I have up is the formal report on the debt obligation for the bond refinancing. It's in the packet. This is where we are refinancing approximately $6.7 million at a lower interest rate, and we're saving approximately $519,000 in the process. And also, we don't have to come up with a $3.8 million payment in the year 2026 at the end of the current bond. So this is a requirement, the document that is in the packet, it's a requirement that you be at a board meeting, and that's what we're doing here up first. So if anyone has any questions about that?
That doesn't require any action on the board at this point, does it?
No.
Okay, that's done. Okay, very good. We're going to do some publicity around that.
We are going to let as much of the public know that we are saving money where we can in this time of serious expense.
All right, any questions? Anybody?
So moving on, you had mentioned the variance situation. We'll be coming to the November work session with our plan for the accidental water use with some options for the board to consider.
All right. Very good.
Next thing I have to talk about is we had an EPA call yesterday on the CD. We thought we were getting near to the end here, but there was a complication that came up that we are going to address a couple of more meetings next month. So I think I had mentioned that I thought we would be signing sometime in December. That may still be the case, but it's possible that it could be farther out. I don't really know where we'll be until we have these technical meetings next month. Just wanted to make the board aware of that.
Anybody have any questions about that? I would suggest we hold questions until after this meeting that Mike mentioned, and then we'll discuss it thoroughly.
The other thing I have is we talked back at the work session last week about some property off of Old Lee Highway as part of the partnership agreement with the city of Chattanooga. It appears that we are going to be moving forward with alternative one. I had a meeting with the city today about that, and we don't have all the details worked out, but it looks like alternative one has risen to the top, and that is the larger property at 7850 Old Lee Highway.
Great, that's good news.
Yes.
Does anyone have
on.
any questions? If you weren't a part of the work session, I won't go into detail here, but you check the minutes and you'll see what's going on there.
So moving on to the SSO report, Taylor can bring that up. We had 8 overflows last month. A couple of them were weather related. A couple of them were broken force mains. I think a contractor broke one of our force mains, but repaired it. We were relatively fortunate considering we did have that heavy rain event in September, but I think mostly because it's been relatively dry, we were able to weather that particular event without a whole lot of overflows. I'm not sure how we'll fare tonight, but we will have people out basically with the pump stations to make sure that they're doing all they can and that we don't have any power glitches or control issues that we have a lengthy response time to. We'll see how we fare. I think we've gotten a little over an inch so far, and I've seen forecasts of another 2 or 3. So we'll see what happens. Moving on to the Pslp report, we had 18 repairs last month, typical month. See, August we had 17. Everything seems to be going okay with the Pslp program. And with no questions, I'll move on to permits. So we had 51 permits last month, $37,180. It's down some, especially in terms of the money collected, but I'm not sure if how the COVID situation will affect long-term. It has to have some effect, but so far we're holding relatively steady with permits.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
quick question. I was looking through those tap fees, the actual, I guess, line items by line, and I thought we had a tap fee of like $800. And when we went through it, it looked like, well, if you're in Ottawa, it might have been $400. If you were on Signal, it might have been $300. I mean, they're kind of across the board. I was curious, one in college.
So
Why do they vary?
So the smaller ones reflect a developer discount. Is what happens there.
Okay.
If a developer is the person who developed the property is buying the permit, they get credit for their investment when they purchase a permit. And then the other smaller permits, we have smaller inspection type permits, and that's.
Okay. So it's not the same thing. It's not apples to apples.
Right.
Just curious. Thank you.
Well, if without any more questions, we can go to resolutions.
Before we start reading the resolution, I've been thinking here, rather than calling the roll, which seems, we have a lot of resolutions, I'm going to ask for a voice vote. And then I'll ask for any objections, and if hearing no objections, I'll assume that it's unanimous. If that's okay with anybody, we'll proceed. Natasha, you're going to read, I guess?
Excuse me, but if you are spending money, it has to be a roll call vote.
Oh, the exception, yes, thank you, Neil.
Dick, this is Boyd. I also believe any formal action, since we are virtual, any formal action also requires a voice vote, not just spending money as if we were in a physical meeting.
Okay. So we need to take these one at a time, it sounds like.
It is a little bit cumbersome, but my understanding of the regulations that went into effect most recently, the requirements for these meetings became more stringent about a month ago.
Okay.
I think any formal action votes have to be roll call.
Very good. We'll follow your good advice, Boyd. And Neil, thank you also. So forget what I said. We're going to do it the way we've been doing it all along. Okay, let's go. Number 1.
Resolution 1020-01, the Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority Board Resolution accepting ownership of the high water landing sewer system, project number 19-307, at the contractor certified fair market cost of the sanitary sewer system of $286,000.
The high water sewer system. Wow, what a name.
This is Walker, motion to approve.
Thank you, Walker. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, let's call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
yes,
Darren Collins, Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Tyler Howe, Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 1020-02, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution accepting ownership of the Stonewall Farms Phase H sewer system, project number 15-337, at the contractor certified fair market cost of the sanitary sewer system of $94,290.
Do you hear a motion for approval?
Move it be approved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I hear a second? Doug, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right. Any further comment or objection?
Let me ask the question. Isn't this Stonewall Farms one that Mr. Bell may have an interest in? And if so, he needs to recuse himself from a vote on that.
You'd already planned to.
Okay. So Jay, you're going to hold off on this then, right?
Yeah, due to personal interest, I'll abstain from this vote.
Okay, very good. So call the roll excluding Jay Bell, please.
Alice Cannella,
yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 020-03, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution accepting ownership of the Sedman Hills Phase 4B Low Pressure Sewer System, project number 17-318, at the contractor certified fair market cost of the sanitary sewer system of $263,951.
Motion to approve, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny. A second?
Second, Boyd.
There are no conflicts here, Neil?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Well,
very good.
I need to let the board know that this is another project of mine. This is Jay. So I'll need to abstain from this vote also.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jay.
Mhm.
Let's call the roll excluding Jay Bell, please.
Alice Cannella,
yes,
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 1020-04, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into an agreement with SNME Incorporated for the Signal Mountain WWTP Corrective Action Plan and MOM Program WWTA Project Number 19-317 for a total cost not to exceed $350,000.
Mike, you want to give us a little thumbnail of that?
Yes, so this is a study that we're entering into SME to determine what needs to be done if we were to keep the Signal Mountain treatment plant in operation. You know, one of our options is to discontinue the use of the plant and send the flow to the city of Chattanooga, or keep the plant and upgrade the plant. And this study involves determining which is the best way to go, and if it's even viable to upgrade the plant to meet TDEC requirements. That's really the big question as to whether or not we keep the plant is if the plant can be upgraded.
Okay.
Motion to approve, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny.
Second,
Second.
Alice.
Thank you, Alice. Any other questions? All right, let's call the roll, please, ma'am.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Boyd,
Resolution,
Natasha, hang on, I was just going to make a comment to Boyd. This might be of interest to the citizens on Signal Mountain. And I think that someone from staff or so, we'd be willing to come up and make a presentation to your council or whoever might be interested in what's going on. So just a note.
Interesting you mentioned that. I was gonna check with Mike, after the election and we get new members seated. I think it'd be very valuable to get, him or someone to come and just give us an education session on what's up and what we can be expecting down the road. So I appreciate that comment.
Yeah, you'll have some new council people too. They'll be surprised to see what we show them about the Signal Mountain sewer system for sure. All right, very good. Okay, Natasha, I'm sorry.
Resolution 1020-05, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into an agreement with Croy Engineering for the Short Tail Springs Force Main Replacement and Pump Station Upgrade Phase 1, WWTA project number 20-336 for a total cost not to exceed $39,580.
Okay, Mike, you want to kind of give us an overview of this one too, please?
So this is a portion of a much larger project to upgrade the Short Tail Springs pump station and force main. But we are under a bit of a time crunch because we were notified by the highway department that they intend to pave a section of Snow Hill Road between Short Tail Springs and Mayhead Gap. Well, we have approximately 3,100 feet of force main in that section of roadway that we would be replacing as a part of the larger project. So just to be able to do this prior to their paving, we have peeled off a portion of the project, and we're going to get Croy to do a design for that 3,100 foot section of force main. We'll probably be from a 6-inch force main to an 8-inch force main. It's likely what happens. And then the phase 2 of portion of the project, which we'll come to you with at a later date, will be pump upgrades and station upgrades.
Okay.
Move it be approved. Second.
Who's that, Bill? Thank you, Bill. Second?
Walker.
Walker, thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, let's call the roll, please, ma'am.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 1020-06. Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into a contract with Higgins Construction for the Snow Hill Road Force Main Repair Phase 1, WWTA project number 20-332 for a total cost not to exceed $85,635.
All right, Mike.
So we just recently discovered a section of the Snow Hill Road force main that is made of ductile iron pipe has corroded beyond use. So it replaces that portion of force main. The rest of the force main is not ductile iron pipe. We won't have to replace that, but this is approximately 800 feet, 870 feet or so of pipe that needs to be replaced. There's a possibility that we may have to do a little more than that when we get in there. So that's why it's a phase 1 project, but we hope to only do the 870-foot portion.
And this was found really as a result of the turnaround project, right?
Yeah, we were doing just a preliminary experiment on what the turnaround would, how that might respond. We discovered this issue. It's it's a bit of a surprise to us, but that's one of the reasons we'll be doing force main assessments in the future.
All right. Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do you hear a second?
Second by Kenny.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Natasha, let's call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 1020-07, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into a contract with BLD Services LLC for the 2020 Red Bank Rehabilitation Project, WTA Project 329, for a total cost not to exceed $853,600.
$853,000. Mike? Wow.
So that is the outside cost. We really think it's going to be less, but it's, as Eric discussed in the work session, this basically covers a lot of contingencies in units, and it's just basically how the bid turned out. We really hope the project will be closer to 500,000, which is not a small amount either. But what we're doing, we're working in Red Bank Basins 5, 6, and 7. We're doing service line repair, manhole rehab, and some pipeline rehab as well, in anticipation of, well, lowering I&I and addressing the overflow in the moratorium situation in Red Bank.
All right. Tyler's not here.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Kenny. How about a second?
Second, Alice.
Thank you, Alice. All right. Any further comments or discussion?
I would add that we only received one bid for this project. So not only was it the low bid, it was the only bid.
Okay. All right. Natasha, call the roll, please,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I do have a question, Dick.
Yes, ma'am. Alice?
I have a question for Mike. Did the unit prices come in somewhat where you thought they would be?
I don't think there was anything that jumped out at us, really. I guess the answer to that is yes.
Any further comments or questions?
I have one question, Dick. Hey,
Yeah, who's
Mike,
that?
this is Kenny.
Okay.
Did
It's good to have you with us again, Kenny.
I know. I apologize. I've been
No, we're
absent as of
not.
late.
We're not complaining. We're just glad to have you.
What was the bid timing on this, Mike? What was the bid period?
Oh, the bid period?
Yes.
I believe is about 3 weeks. If Eric is on, he can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right, Mike. It was advertised for 3 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right. I think we're ready to call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Ville,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes.
Resolution 1020-08, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute documents to enter into a contract with S&ME Incorporated for professional services for the 2020 Red Bank Rehabilitation Project, WWTA Project Number 20-329, for a total cost not to exceed $104,766.25.
So this was not discussed in the work session last week, but this is the construction inspection for the previous project. It really requires some specialized expertise, and that's why we would like to contract with S&ME. They're also going to develop a credit report from the work to submit to TDEC that we'll use to help with the moratorium issue.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Just second.
Thank you, Kenny. Walker?
Second, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Any comments or questions on this? All right, we're ready to call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right, one more.
Resolution 1020-09, a Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority, WWTA Board Resolution authorizing the chair and/or executive director to execute the interjurisdictional agreement, IDA, governing the characteristic and quantities of the wastewater flows from various WWTA connection points to the City of Chattanooga system.
Mike, you want to give the board a bit of an overview of this thing?
So this is an agreement for flow, the flow that we send to the City of Chattanooga at the various connection points we have. And this has been a topic of discussion. I guess this has been discussed for years. I've actually argued on both sides of the table on this particular agreement. When I was at the city, I was obviously looking for a different entity, and now I've argued against my previous arguments. Okay. But we finally come to an agreement. This agreement it obligates us to do things. Unlike the previous agreements we had with the city for flow were a lot less stringent than the new agreements are now, but that is really a product of the fact that they have the consent decree that they have. They had to have more strenuous agreements. Typically in the past, a lot of the satellites of which we are one, we really didn't worry about how much flow we sent to them. We just paid the bill, and if it caused an overflow on their side, it didn't bother us, honestly. And that is something they had to correct, the more stringent agreement. Now, we have negotiated this quite a lot, and this agreement is a bit different than other agreements, primarily because we have a CD that maybe the other satellites don't have. And the other reason for the difference is we are participating in the E2I2 partnership. So I guess the drawbacks of this, like I said, it does obligate us to perform certain, we have certain legal requirements under the agreement when we send excess flows. It will cause us to potentially pay a 15% penalty on our flow. And that payment of that penalty is at the city's discretion. They have agreed, though, we are participating with the E2I2 agreement to not charge the penalty. So as long as we fulfill our obligations in the partnership, we wouldn't be charged for excess flows. I guess the best way to describe this is they're probably not entirely happy with the agreement, and I might not be entirely happy with it either on this side, So I guess it's a compromise, and we really don't have a choice. It is a legal and permit requirement that we have an agreement with the city for these flows. If anybody has questions, I'll do my best to answer.
Yeah. To my knowledge, we've never had we've never addressed an agreement like this by the board. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of you have questions about it. It's kind of competing CDs. Is that a good way to portray it, Mike? That their CD limits how much they can take as far as their capacity assurance plan is concerned, and we have to control how much we send them that meets their requirements. And sometimes their requirements aren't consistent with what our reality is. And so that we've come to what I believe is a reasonable compromise. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions or concerns or questions about this?
I have plenty of concerns, but I still think we don't have much of a choice.
That's kind of where we are, Kenny, and and I think we're at a place where we can manage going forward.
I will say this, even with the concerns that I do have, it does provide some accountability to where in the past, it's just like Mike said, the accountability wasn't there. And when we had overflows, we just went on about our business, but it actually holds our feet to the fire to make sure the work gets done. And then also, obviously with the CD that we have coming, that's going to happen anyway. But I think just puts the foot on the gas for everything we got to get accomplished.
I would love for us to be able to just continue the old agreements, but that's just not the world we live in at this point. And a lot of those agreements, many of them had expired many years ago, and we were just operating basically without a contract, which technically the city could charge us pretty much anything they want, since we were operating without a contract.
This obviously puts a bigger burden on us in the long run, but do we have a timeline on when we will come to terms on this agreement? Do you know?
Well, the authorization would be for us we're pretty much 99% there. Now, this document is subject to change. I mean, if we can justify an increase in flow, the flow numbers can go up. So, it's a 15-year agreement, but it is subject to change upon mutual agreement with both parties.
And meeting these requirements would be impossible without the E2I2 capabilities that that are underway. That really is what's going to allow us to come close to meeting these limitations. I think I'm right on that.
You are.
Okay.
The reality is the flow limits that we have in this agreement are difficult to achieve. The flow limits that the EPA has put upon the city of Chattanooga is also difficult to achieve. So basically, this is the result of their CD that we have this issue.
All right. Any questions at this point? Any other questions, further questions?
All right, just for satisfaction, has the document been reviewed from a legal perspective, just for form and content?
Well, Rich has spent many hours. Rich Glaze, our EPA counsel, has spent many hours looking at this document. So yes.
Okay.
Hearing no further comments or questions, call for a motion.
I think Bill had a question.
Oh, Bill, you're not on my screen. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I just want to, I think Mike answered both my questions. It's a 15-year agreement, but there are provisions for amending it with mutual consent. Am I right about that?
Correct.
So those flow numbers could change depending on how well we do our job and how well the city does their job.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's also dispute resolution, as well when we don't agree. So.
Okay. All righty.
It's not the best, but it's the best we could get.
I move we approve it.
Thank you, Bill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Doug. Hearing no further comments or questions, I'll call for the vote. So we want to call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Alice Canella,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Curtis Jones,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Bill,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. That completes the resolutions. And where does that place us in the on the agenda?
We are at the AR report.
Ah, okay. This is going to be an interesting session.
Yeah, so this is the AR report for September 2020 with the total AR amount at $1,124,436.49. And the amount that is at least 1 month late is $460,051.31. Are there any questions on the AR?
I don't know that I have questions, but I'm horrified by the direction that we're headed.
Right. So the yellow portion, this is 4 months late, which standard procedure is that those amounts are sent to collections and written off. And now up to the purple line right here, that is something that we could probably consistently or relatively connect with the effects of COVID and the economic situation. And you can see an increase right about from February. It bumps up to an all-time high, at least since we've been reporting this, which has gone back to October of 2015. And so we'll just continue to keep an eye on it.
Now, right now we are, Mike, remind me, we are turning water, or we're on the brink of turning water off again, right?
That's correct. We have not turned water off since, I guess, March. And we are, we're about to begin actual shutoffs in November. We have sent out the calls, courtesy calls to people who are in arrears.
Yeah. It doesn't take much imagination, though, to think about the trend of the disease itself or the virus itself, and we could just be right back in the same situation we were in 6 months ago, and that would have some not only dire effects on us as an organization, but dire effects on our whole community. But hopefully that won't happen. But that is a terrible trend. And I think in there, Tyler, are you doing that?
Yes, sir.
What's the next chart?
Yeah, the next chart is the current bill. So of that total AR, this just shows that $664,000 is of the current portion. And then I'm sure.
So we are trending up there, but there's the scary one right there.
Correct. So this is the collection rate for June. And that is mostly because we calculate collection rate over a span of 4 months. And so for June of 2020, our collection rate is 87.3%, with our cumulative being 96.1.
Yeah.
And I did note, so what I tried to look at was the average collection rate of the year 2019 and compare it to our current collection rate, and then sort of equate that to a dollar amount. And so that is what I have noted here. The June collection rate is 9%, or in dollars, approximately $50,000 less than the 2019 average collection rate.
And I think that pretty much wipes out our last rate increase, pretty nearly, if that stays that way.
Correct.
Anybody got any comments or join me in my hand wringing?
That wasn't totally unexpected, and I
agree.
I look for it to get better, and I don't know.
Well, I agree, but I would hope it would get better. But the trend in the virus expansion is not really suggesting it's going to get better anytime soon. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you, Tyler.
Yes, sir. And I will actually go ahead and move on to the
or Taylor. I'm sorry. Good grief.
It's fine. The finance graphs. So this is the available and ending cash for September, with the ending cash being $24.27 million, with available cash being roughly $8.84 million. And another note down here is that the July and August 2020 available cash amounts, so this 6.2 here and 6.7 here, has been restated on this graph to reflect a 3-month rating reserve along with the 3-month cash reserve. And so there was a slight decrease from what was presented last month. And this is the debt service payments. So in September, debt service payments totaled $123,435.47.
Oh, that's an interesting chart. Wow. Okay.
This is operations, revenue, and expenses. So for September, the total revenues was $2.25 million, with total expenses at $1.75 million.
And that includes those debt payments, correct? Those expenses?
I am not 100% certain on that. Peggy may be.
The interest portion, not the principal portion.
Okay.
And then lastly, we have PSLP revenues and expenses. So for September, the PSLP revenue is $240,780.12, with the total PSLP expenses being $58,797.14.
Okay.
And if there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's very interesting stuff. Mike, have you got anything else you'd like to discuss?
I do not.
Bill, are you ready for the treasurer's report?
Well, Taylor went over most of it in the charts, so I don't know that there's much need for a treasurer's report, but I'll briefly, and I'm not sure the charts even agree with this, so I'll have to look at that. For the month of September, we had a profit of $682,425.59, of which $500,442.59 was regular operating and $181,982.98 was Pslp. Our year-to-date net income is $1,094,550.32 for the regular operating, $545,755.72 for Pslp, for a total of $1,640,306.04. So we are still making money. It should be noted that the cash chart, we started the year with $23,695,804.53 in cash. We ended September with $24,270,985.68, which means our cash was declining. And I think the main reason for this one was we got a SRF reimbursement of $1.6 million or something like that. So, but the bottom line is our cash has increased $575,181.15 from the beginning of the year, total cash. And we have to break that out between what we reserve for emergencies and the additional 3-month reservation, which we need to do for a bond rating whenever that might happen. So that basically is, in the charts that Taylor put up there, covered most of that. So we are doing pretty good, and we're still using some cash to do capital projects. So all I can say is Mike and the staff keep up the good work, and I think we're in pretty good shape at the present time financially.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty positive, actually.
It is positive.
Yeah, yeah, and you say part of that cash infusion was a reimbursement, SRF reimbursement.
SRF reimbursement, $1.6 million,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that explains that little jump too. All right. Any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. The next thing, I have nothing specific to report. Mike has brought you up to date with the progress on the CD. We are hoping that we will remain on schedule for a near-term agreement, but like Mike reported, we've got a little hurdle to cross before we get there. So we'll get back to you with how that technical meeting goes and what the implications of it are. Okay, Kenny, do you have anything? East Ridge?
I have no report, Mr. Chair.
Lakeside, Commissioner Jones.
I don't have anything to report.
Lookout Mountain, Walker.
No report, sir.
Tyler, Red Bank, or he's not here. He's out campaigning.
Yeah.
Ridgeside, Darren's not here. Boyd, you've got something from Signal Mountain?
No, sir, other than what you already brought up. We would very much like to get some time with Mike in the next few weeks to bring our new folks up to speed. Other than that, just appreciate all the good work.
All right, great. Gene Shipley's not there again. I don't have anything. Jay, have you got something?
No, I sure don't. I'd just like to congratulate the staff for continuing to work through COVID, and it's a hard thing. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. I'll tell you. Doug?
Oh, sir. All fine. Thank you.
Bill, anything else?
No, sir.
Alice, have you got something?
Yeah, just a quick thank you ahead of this next hurricane coming in to Mike and all of his staff. I know they're going to be really busy out there when this big rain comes. So I'm just thanking them in advance for what they're doing.
Very good.
Thank you.
I see no other business. The next board meeting. Oop, I about lost it. The next board meeting is November 18th, 2020. The next finance meeting is November the 12th. And that coincides with the agenda meeting or the working meeting as well.
Sir.
And I hope everyone in the meantime stays well. And
Chair James.
Natasha, you're raising your hand. You've got something.
Yes, you didn't ask for calls from the public. Anyone that had any?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I'm sorry. We are at the end of the meeting. If there is anyone listening that would like to raise a question to the WWTA board, now is the time to call. And Natasha, the number is, how will they get the number?
They can call 209-7845.
You broke down on me. Say it again.
That number is 209-7845.
All right. Any of you listening, dial that number and we will take your question. We'll stay around here for a minute or so. Any activity, Natasha? None? None? Okay.
No, sir.
Let's give it another 15 or 20 seconds and then we'll. Let me just say to Neill and the board, thank you for your guidance and how to properly conduct these resolutions. I appreciate that very much. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, you all.
Thank you.